Welcome back. Just to tell you that some matches are currently going on at FIFA 2018 World Cup qualifiers in Europe. Last time I checked, France was leading against Holland. Holland playing at home since the problem are deeper than we thought. So we will give you the results as we go on the show. But let's really talk about what we just saw, Wheelchair Basketball, 5th edition of the Victor Oche Wheelchair Basketball Championship. And it's noteworthy that this competition has become annual, and it has become a selection criteria for national teams. It has become a tournament that countries from the West African sub-region always come. And it's heartwarming that we have this. I'm wishing for more, but then we must commend the Wheelchair Basketball Federation and all those who put hands together to make this possible. Yeah,
to even think that our female team were almost qualifying for the Paralympic Games is quite commendable. And this is the 5th edition. It started when Victor Oche was the Speaker of the Delta House of Assembly, and even when he left, he has kept faith, with the tournament. What it means is that this fellow is not in it for political gain. He sincerely believes in wheelchair basketball. And for our friend Honorable Bukola Olopade, he has always fought to ensure that the wheelchair basketball remains very, very relevant in Nigerian sports. We also, want to commend him. Yeah. What they are doing is, they are projecting, these special people very, very positively. These people would have, been abandoned on the streets, wallowing self-pity, but they have a tournament that they look forward to every year. They prepare very hard. They go into camping. The states can, get some athletes, special people within the states to camp, prepare, get coaches, prepare for this tournament and do their state proud. And I think this is a good one, Yemi. Okay. This is the 5th edition. We want to see this tournament going to the 10th edition, 20th edition, and 30th edition, so that as the tournament progresses, the sport will continue to, improve, produce great athletes, and we also learn that some of our athletes in this sport are also foreign-based. Yes. So this is good. This is really good.
Very, very good. Just watch the space. 80% of the guys in. As a matter of fact, Oyo State won this tournament for the guys. Kano State, appearing in the tournament for the first time, finished second. And I scooped. What I scooped is that majority of the guys playing for that Kano team are in Nigeria's under-23 team that will be vying for a ticket to the World Championships in South Africa. They'll be in South Africa in December. Let's take some reactions from that final, and we'll be back for more on Sports Tonight.
Very soon, we'll go to camp. We'll start camping, and from there we'll select players that will represent the country in the tournament in South Africa by December. God's good. Despite the fact that South Africa is good, we have Morocco and Nigeria, but all of them, they still respect Nigeria, that we are good players, that they cannot push away from the tournament. So they always look forward to see us. So I believe with the crop of players that we have now, we have players that are hungry for tournament, and I believe we are going to qualify.
I have to appreciate these guys and the ladies as well. And it's a big eye-opener for me, the extent at which these guys have trained, the extent at which they are playing. So I want to commend them, and I want to assure them that we as a state will support them.
If you look at the game of the wheelchair basketball, it takes, for you playing basketball, you could turn if you're able-bodied. But for them, they have to wheel that thing and turn around and do the same things you do. The rules are the same, and they have to score with the same height of the net. So you can imagine it's even more tasking than for those who are able-bodied. The motivation is the joy I derive from creating a life for a people who ordinarily people don't bother to associate with. People don't want to associate with people who are physically challenged because they think they are not like them. They have nothing to offer. But you see, the opportunity and the potential that I see in these guys, it gives me so much pleasure. They even have much, much more than we who are able-bodied.
Tremendous improvement from what we've always had. But more importantly is the fact that we have actually climbed the ladder tremendously.
All right. In the words of the president, we have climbed the ladder tremendously. I will leave it at that and hope that they will continue to make progress as a federation and Nigeria. Hopefully, the under-23 team will go forward and pick that ticket. All right, let's leave that. That you also heard the coach of the under-23 team speaking about that tournament. You also listened to the Oyo State Commissioner of Sports, Abayami Oke, in that one, Grand Patron of the Wheelchair Basketball, Victor Uche, and of course the president of the Wheelchair Basketball Federation, talking about Bukola Olopade, all of them bearing in mind and reacting to what went down at the final of the Wheelchair Basketball Championship. Guys, let's really talk domestic football. Doesn't get better than the Nigeria Professional Football League. But before we do our review, let's talk about Rivers United. Euchi, players, been given awards, even though they didn't get to win the league. But we all know that Rivers United put up a spirited attempt to ensure that they got something. And now the goalkeeper, the captain, and one of the strikers winning the awards for the team.
Yeah, Sunday Rotimi. A veteran in all true respect of the Nigerian Professional League. From Plateau United, he has traversed, lasted, went to Israel, at the time was in the national team for the Super Eagles, went to Israel with the short stints, and he has played so many matches, so many games for Dolphins that later merged with Sharks of Port Harcourt. So for me, and he's a humble lad, very humble, very dedicated. I think it's a deserving award for him. He has given so much to this team, and this is what is replicated in Europe. You
Yes.
appreciate players. End of the month, end of season, you appreciate them with a plaque and some other
the clubs.
Sometimes the fans will vote for the player of the month, the player of the
Even
season.
the players among themselves.
Yes, with the players among the
sometimes.
season. So I think it's a good innovation. And for Bernardo Voke too, who was the top scorer for the team. I think he scored 11 goals. He also was appreciated. The captain too, Festus Austin. He was the most disciplined player, and the one they called Welly, he played almost all their games in the season that just ended. So I think other clubs should begin to take a cue from it. Apart from the contractual obligation, you can also show appreciation to your players, for a job well done.
All right. So, Toby, anything to add? I think good innovation.
Good innovation. Like you said, Rotimi kept at the highest clean sheet. This is 17 in a couple of games. Brilliant performance from him.
Even at that age.
At that age, he's one of the veterans in the MPFL. Seen a lot, got a lot of experience, and it was very key and vital for them. This is a finished second, back on the continent, and we just hope they can build on success this season, add more quality player, and then they will give a good representation on the continent, and then maybe back into the title contest also next season. This is very, very good. This motivated the players. It made the players feel, they are playing, in a system that had, a culture and also a brand. It is very good. I hope the state can build on this, and then get the dinner night, more better than what we saw a few days ago.
Okay, so we'll leave it at that and move on. Well, that's out of the way, but let's talk about Niger Tornadoes. That's a team that we're picking for a review. They finished in 12th position. They had 49 points, 14 behind winners Rangers. But the news is that 11 players have been sacked after a review of the team's performance. Well, I don't think that Tornadoes did badly. That's my own opinion. But I'm not on the board. I'm not the club chairman. But 11 players. Would you let me allow you to react to that one quickly? After a review.
Yeah, it's usually the trend.
Yes.
After the season, we hear that Mark Exodus purge and ask whichever word you want to use. They try to reposition for next season. But the bottom line is that when you're sacking these players, you have to pay them off too. Not just sacking and they wallow in misery. You have to pay them off. And like you said, Tornadoes were very, very formidable. They played away from home. They didn't play in Mina. They played in Lokoja at the Confluence Stadium. We are formidable. A lot of people argue that they got a lot of penalty calls at home. Maybe justifiably, but they took their chances and they retained their Premier League status. Perhaps they want to beef up the team and strengthen the squad ahead of next season, because when you finish in a particular position the previous season, you are expected to improve on that. If you are not going to win the title or get the continental ticket, you should improve. on that. So I think that's what they're trying to achieve.
Toby, now has been placed on, apart from the 11 that is going, 8 were placed on standby. They might just be joining the 11 anytime soon. Do you think this is house cleaning, like you said, positioning for the new season, or somebody just having other ideas?
No, really. I don't think the management, was satisfied with the performance, especially from the players. I mean, you mentioned 14 points behind, the champion Rangers, but that's not the moment for them. The moment for them is for them finishing just 4 points above the relegation zone. I mean, they finished 49 points, and it's a certain Warriors who got relegated finished with 45 points. So it wasn't as if it was a brilliant season for them. Like when you mentioned, a lot of complaints. At some point, they had to allow, before leave the club as a coach, bring in Bala, who did a decent job for them. I mean, when you place 11 players on transfer and 9 still on standby, that means you are not really satisfied with the output of the player, and then you really want to get better. Although they were champions, they were NNL champions, who won the Super 4 in Abuja, before the MPFL season, kick-started. And I mean, they really want to get better. I think they had ambition. They want to go into the new season as a more formidable team. But the key thing is those players you're sacking, those players placed on transfer. You need to pay them off. You need to give them the entitlement. I mean, the rewards is very, very important. There's nothing bad if you feel the player doesn't deserve to be in your team. But I mean, you need to make sure that you honor the contract between the players and also the management. That's key. If you can sort that, if you think the player doesn't deserve to be in your team, you can allow the player go. So they will go into the market, shop for 1 or 2 key players, and then try to reform the team and see how they can be better next season.
Let me bring you into this. Let's just tap into your experience now. How early should all of these things happen? Just a few weeks after the league season, and some are cooling off. Some are not even talking about a review. But Tornadoes have come out, they've done a review. They're trying to weed out the guys they don't want, although we advise them to settle whatever needs to be settled. But how early in the aftermath of the season should all of this, or this is the right time? Just your own opinion anyway.
No, it depends on the clubs. I think Tornadoes are just maybe it's a top priority. Maybe they have penciled out some players. They have discussed with. They quickly want to bring them in and weed out some that are not necessary. So for me, there's no time really. Immediately the season has ended, then you have to start preparation. You want to bring in some players. If you are going to employ any coach, you want to bring in new technical crew, you have to start almost immediately because I think the LMC will not waste time in starting the new season. So for the clubs, you don't need to waste time. You don't need to hesitate. When you know where you're going to, you start almost immediately. So we are not against the timing. Like we have agreed here. If you don't need the players, you pay them off. Yeah. That as simple as that. You bring in any player you want to bring in, but those ones that have served you last season, whether you like it or not, irrespective of the situation you have found yourself, these players served you dutifully, and you have to pay them, so that they can move on with their lives.
Okay, all right. So we're just going to leave football and go on a quick break, give you a slice of tennis, allow you to enjoy how Nick Kyrgios emerged as the Japan Open champion. And of course, when we'll come back, spend a few moments that we have talking tennis, then we'll give you the update for what is currently going on at the FIFA 2018 World Cup qualifiers, the European zone. We'll do all of that for you when we return from this break.